Fleet Admiral Sarah Vasquez stood in the observation deck of the UEN Prometheus, watching the assembled might of 3 galaxies arrayed against humanity's small flotilla. The sight should have been terrifying. Over 12,000 vessels, spanning technologies that humanity barely comprehended, each one capable of reducing Earth to stellar dust. Instead, she felt only cold satisfaction. "Admiral," reported Commander Chen from the communications array, "we're receiving another broadcast from the Trigalactic Alliance." Same content as before. The holographic display activated, showing the familiar triumvirate of alien leaders who had been addressing humanity for the past 6 standard hours. Supreme Overlord Krixthark of the Andromeda hegemony, his crystalline form refracting starlight into prismatic displays of dominance. Chancellor Vex Morion from the Greater Magellanic Consortium, whose biomechanical augmentations clicked and whirred with each gesture. And most insulting of all, Empress Nolthara of the Milky Way Dominion humans' own galactic neighbors, who had watched Earth's development for centuries. "Primitive mammals of Sol 3, began Krixthark, his voice translated through quantum linguistics processors. "You have exactly 1 standard hour to surrender your pathetic fleet and submit to proper galactic authority. Your crude fusion drives and kinetic projectiles are amusing relics of a bygone technological era." Chancellor Vex Morion's mechanical appendages gestured dismissively at the human formation. "Our archaeological surveys indicate your species discovered fire merely 50,000 orbital periods ago. We were crafting reality itself when your sun was stellar debris. But it was Empress Nalthara who delivered the cruelest barb. We have observed your progress for 700 years. Little humans, your greatest achievement, reaching your own moon, required the combined resources of your entire planet. Meanwhile, our construction drones reshape nebulae for aesthetic purposes." The transmission ended with harmonious laughter from all 3 leaders, a sound that had become familiar to every human in the past week since first contact had gone catastrophically wrong. Admiral Vasquez turned to her tactical officer. "Lieutenant Morrison, status report on our archaeological finds?" Lieutenant Morrison consulted his quantum-encrypted datapad, suppressing a grin. "All 16 derelict vessels have been fully restored, Admiral. Crew transfers completed 36 hours ago. The Tiamat, Nemesis, and Ragnarok report ready for combat operations." "And the others?" "The Sleipnir, Mjolnir, Excalibur, Durandal, Kusanagi, Gram, Kurtana, Joyuz, Kaladbolg, Fragarash, Galatine, Horticlear, and Almacy are standing by in stealth configuration." Each name represented humanity's most closely guarded secret massive vessels discovered in deep space over the past century, scattered across the galaxy like abandoned monuments. Ships whose technology made current human engineering look like stone tools, yet somehow keyed to human genetic signatures and neural patterns. Ships that 3 galaxies had somehow forgotten existed. "Ma'am," interrupted Communications Officer Chen, "we're receiving another demand for surrender. They're emphasizing our chemical rockets and metal bullets again." Admiral Vasquez allowed herself a bitter smile. Let them focus on humanity's public fleet, the fusion-powered vessels and kinetic weapons that Earth had deliberately showcased during first contact. Let them ignore the sensor ghosts that registered as cosmic background radiation. "Any word from the archaeological survey teams?" Dr. Reyes reports the ruins on Kepler 442b match the same architectural patterns found throughout the galaxy. The inscription translations are disturbing. Admiral Vasquez had read those translations herself. Ancient human text, carved in stone on dead worlds spanning 3 galaxies. "When the children of terror walk among stars again, let all who oppose them remember, we are not the first. We are the return." The implications had shattered every assumption about human origins and galactic history. Time remaining? she asked. 17 minutes until their ultimatum expires, Admiral. Through the observation deck's transparent aluminum, Admiral Vasquez could see the enemy formations beginning to close. 12,000 ships, representing the combined military might of 3 galactic civilizations, all focused on crushing what they perceived as humanity's primitive uprising. Communications: open a channel to all human vessels. Authorization Omega 77. Channel open, Admiral. All units, this is Fleet Admiral Vasquez. You know what we discovered in those ruins. You know what we learned about who we really are. Her voice carried across the quantum communications network to every human ship, every human soldier, every human soul in the fleet. Our ancestors walked between galaxies when these empires were primordial soup. Today, we reclaim our birthright. She paused, watching the countdown timer reach its final minutes. All archaeological units, decloak and rise. Space itself seemed to shudder as 16 massive forms materialized around the human fleet. Each dreadnought stretched over 50 kilometers in length, their obsidian hulls drinking starlight and reflecting nothing back. Ancient weapon systems that had been dormant for millions of years began to power up, reality-warping energies that made contemporary technology look like cave paintings. The communications array exploded with panicked transmissions from the Tri-Galactic Alliance fleets. Impossible. Those energy signatures, those ships aren't in our databases. How did they? By the Void Mothers, those are predecessor vessels. But they've been extinct for... Admiral Vasquez keyed the fleet-wide broadcast, her transmission reaching every ship in the 3 allied fleets. Attention, Tri-Galactic Alliance. You called us primitive. You mocked our chemical rockets and metal bullets. You laughed at our brief history. Her voice carried across the void with absolute authority. Allow me to introduce you to our older brothers. The lead dreadnought, Tiamat, powered its main weapon array. Energy readings spiked beyond measurement as reality-tearing cannons prepared to fire. These are predecessor-class dreadnoughts, Admiral Vasquez continued, built by the last human galactic empire 4 million years ago. Each one carries enough firepower to crack planets. Each one remembers why our ancestors chose exile over extermination. The alien fleets began desperate evasive maneuvers, but space itself seemed to rebel against their movements as the ancient human ships imposed their will on local physics. You had 700 years to study us, Admiral Vasquez said quietly. 700 years to learn our history. Perhaps you should have asked yourselves, if humans are so primitive, why are there human ruins on every habitable world in 3 galaxies? The Tiamat fired once, a concentrated beam of weaponized spacetime that erased an entire enemy battle group from existence. Not destroyed, simply removed from reality as if they had never been. This is Empress Nalthara, came the panic transmission. We demand immediate ceasefire. These weapons violate the Galactic Accords of... The Galactic Accords, Admiral Vasquez interrupted, were written by children playing with toys our ancestors discarded. As the dreadnoughts advanced, their ancient weapon systems awakening after eons of slumber, she delivered humanity's final message to the 3 galaxies that had dared to call them primitive. Welcome to the return of the predecessors. Class is now in session.